Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
A friend of mine that I went to college with sent me this note, and it will just warm your heart. He said in the letter, "We had a power outage at our house this morning, and my PC, laptop, television set, DVD, cordless phones, and my new surround sound music system were all shut down. And then I discovered my iPad and my iPhone batteries were flat, and to top it off, it was raining outside, so I couldn't play golf. So I went into the kitchen to make coffee, but then remembered this also needs power. So I sat and talked with my wife for a while. She seems like a nice person." Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning. Good morning to you. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and of course some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Locally owned and operated, Kelly and the crew, 734-6969. Well, I know somebody else that's a nice person. Good morning, Gina.
Well, good morning, sunshine, and how are we on this fine Monday?
Oh, let's not push it.
Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I did. Didn't really do too much, but had a nice weekend. A lot of times with some really good friends. And Dave and Dawn Zanino had their anniversary the other night. We went out to eat with them. These are the nicest people. I really enjoy them.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time, and happy anniversary.
Yeah, you bet. That lovely Dawn and not so lovely Dave, they're really nice people.
Well, I'm sure he just heard that.
I'm sure. Do we have a pledger?
We have Al on for the pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Ah, very good. Great way to start the week with Mr. Al. Good morning, Al.
Yeah, that 40 years is sure a difference, isn't it?
Oh, my.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Real quick, how you feeling?
Well, I got the elephant off my chest, and I'm going to get the bunny off.
Okay, well, listen, God bless both you and Polly. Take care, okay?
You bet. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by our friends, and we were lucky to have Whitney on the phone with us last week at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, 678-6945, the number to call. And don't forget, this coming Friday night, the 6th, they're going to have their next girls' night out event, and lots of interesting craft items. You don't want to miss it. Don't miss it, and call and get registered for the event at 678-6945, where they can take care of all of your home decor items. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. And right now, here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Couple of good news for the month of March. Morning, everybody. First day of spring is on Friday, March 20th. On March 8th, on Sunday, you lose an hour's sleep. So we're getting there. Hello, everyone. You got sun and clouds all week long. The temperatures will warm up into the mid-50s by Friday. They'll stay pretty much in the upper 40s throughout the remainder of the week. No storms in the way. All the weather action is east and north of you. So basically, you're going to slowly but surely walk your way into spring, but you are still, right now, officially in winter. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go. Michael Rogers Weather. Absolutely the best. And thank you very much to Cheney Flooring and Home Design with a lot of newly refurbished furniture. You stop in and you'll see some really neat things in there and nice people to help you at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Real quick, I want to say thank you very much to Bert and Elaine Stevenson for basically being the host for Deanna and I to go to the Lincoln Day banquet, and that was on Saturday. Thank you. Those are the nicest people, and had a wonderful time with all the people there. If I started to mention all the people I talked to by name, I know I'd forget someone. I don't want to do that. It was a wonderful afternoon, and we highly enjoyed it. Minnecasia Lincoln Day program at Morty's Steakhouse. Enjoyed it very much. Hey, don't forget Daryl's Cleaners. Now, that's where I go for all my clothes. That's right. Whether it's my Wranglers, my sports shirts, my sports jackets, whatever it might be, they can take care of everything, and all my rumply crumplies come back looking brand spanking new. And don't forget the gift cards, too. Great idea to give a gift card to somebody and say, hey, here, try Daryl's Cleaners, and they are going to thank you. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Also, our thanks to SafeLink Internet. Don't know what we would do without them. And, oh, please don't ever go away. SafeLink Internet, number one choice in Idaho for wireless internet, 17 years and counting. And don't forget, all you have to do is call them, tell them Zeb sent you, and check out all the special low prices for you at SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. SafeLink Internet serving you. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to just say this real quick and not spend a lot of time on it this morning. Yesterday was the one-day richest rodeo in the world, and it was just very well done. Down in Jerry's World at AT&T Stadium, Dallas Cowboy Stadium, Jerry Jones. And it was the richest one-day rodeo in the world. They paid out over $2 million in one afternoon. And it was great. And two cowboys split $1 million, and they were Taylor Price in the bareback riding and Reese Reimer in the calf roping. Wow. And like I said, over $2 million paid out, and those two splitting $1 million. It was great watching. I really enjoyed it. Calls are welcome and appreciated, and I also want to remind you, go to the light and get your lights at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. And if you're in a hurry, they'll have your order waiting for you on the counter. They got all your light bulbs. They've got all your fluorescent lights, all your halogen bulbs. Go to the light at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Had a great weekend. Don't forget, at 8:31 this morning, or very close to it, we're going to be giving away another half dozen cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox if you can answer the question. So it's going to be really, really a lot of fun. In just a minute, I'm going to be talking about, I think, and I want your opinion on this, the most pathetic humor that I have ever seen. Stay tuned for that. Valley Wine Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. As I told you last week, Chick Days are coming next week, March 11th through the 21st. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a chick. Wrong chick. Anyway, Chick Days coming to Valley Wide, and they've got all your feed, water, and water dishes, housing, and fencing, everything you need to raise your chicks. And Chick Days, March 11th through the 21st, over there where it is your chick headquarters. Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see those good folks today. I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to possibly, and I put opportunity, underline it, to see what Saturday Night Live did regarding a skit. Now, this is so low-classed. I wish there was a way to denigrate and, quite frankly, damn them for what they did. But Saturday Night Live made a skit about a man's daughter leaving her family. I got to get Gina on the line for this. Gina, are you right there? I want you to inject something here. Are you there?
Okay, but I have to say I didn't see the skit.
No, I didn't either. But I saw the skit on television on a replay this morning, so I can describe it to you exactly what it was like. There has been, as you know, Gina, a lot of young girls try to run away from their families and get over to Syria and join ISIS. You're aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. So here is a skit that Saturday Night Live put together. And they show a father driving up to an airport and ready to drop his daughter off. And she gets out of the car and she says, "Don't worry, Dad, I'll be all right. All I'm doing is joining ISIS." And then you see a pickup truck with a machine gun in the back yelling "Death to America," waving at her as she turns around to get into the airport.
Okay.
It's pathetic humor. It's way too serious a situation, I think, to be making jokes about death to America and young girls leaving their families and trying to jump on airliners and go overseas. Maybe I'm being too hypercritical. I don't know.
I would actually have to see the entirety of the skit to kind of, get the thing. But I think that what they're trying to do is call attention to it to those who don't really know about it. And they're trying to, maybe they shouldn't make light about it, but I think maybe they're just trying to call attention to it, saying, hey.
You're being more kind than I am. You're being more kind.
Honestly, I would have to see the skit to actually get the full gist of it all.
But I will say this, and I'll stand behind this 100%. I think we as Americans have lost sight and vision of what it takes to keep this country free and maintaining our Constitution and our value system. And I think it's too easy to rock the boat and even tip it over.
I agree with you, and that's because we've made it too easy for the upcoming generation. We are raising a generation that has really no responsibility.
Now, you and I are on the same page there.
Yeah, I think that's, in large part, that's what it has to do with, because these kids don't understand what it takes to work. They don't understand the perseverance because they've never had to be challenged with it.
I didn't see the humor in it. I mean, here we are. We're looking at these kids being duped, and many from Minneapolis area, suckered is a good word, to go overseas and take literally money out of their parents' account somehow and get on a plane and run away, and they're finding out their backgrounds and everything, and these girls especially. I don't think there's one girl, anywhere in the world that understands the seriousness of what they're doing.
I completely agree, and I think that the way they're enticing our younger generation is abhorrent, and I don't think that, especially the girls, they don't understand what they're doing when they go and join ISIS. They are basically damning themselves to a life of servitude and possibly death. I mean, these girls they don't understand that once they join ISIS, there's no going back. They've lost all their rights. They become the property of whomever, and they can do whatever to said girl.
And here it is. They're putting themselves basically in the eye of the target to the point where, and I do not blame our forces. I do not blame the United States. I do not blame the Jordanians. I don't blame anybody for picking out any information about ISIS and trying to obliterate these vermin from the face of the earth. And they're literally, by these girls joining up under false pretenses, they're putting themselves under a death notice.
They are, and which, by the way, kind of on the topic, were those 3 girls that crossed over into Syria, which 3 I'm talking about, Were they ever, apprehended prior to getting across the border? Do you know that?
Now, I was away from television most of the weekend to the extent where all I saw was a video of them getting into I believe it was Ankara airport in Turkey, and walking through the airport. Now, as far as any getting information or trying to arrest them or withhold them for a certain period of time, I don't know. But I do know I saw a very shaky video of the girls getting their baggage and then going out of the airport.
Well, I hope those girls were actually caught before they made it across, into ISIS territory.
Absolutely.
Because those girls, they're just 16 years old. They're being wooed into a life that they honestly, truly don't understand, and I think, they might be lost for forever.
Amen. Thank you. I appreciate your input. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Oh, my, the food is good over at Denny's. You got to get in and build your own Grand Slam. Oh, my goodness, the Grand Slam is absolutely delicious. I love breakfast. I wish I could do this program, honestly, from Denny's Restaurant and sit there and have breakfast and kind of mumble and jumble my words as I'm chewing on delicious food. Oh, it's great. Great service, nice people. You're going to love it. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner anytime, all the time at Denny's Restaurant. 611 Overland in Burley, and the new location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Wonderful people serving you at Denny's Restaurant. It is good. It really is. And don't forget, too, Barry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness. I want to remind you that they've got all your equipment needs. I'm not bragging when I say that. I mean all your equipment needs. They got great pricing, fantastic warranties and rebates and rental rates at all three locations of Barry Equipment and Rental. And they got the big Doosan loaders and the Coyote tractors and the Bobcats and the Walker mowers. Not too early to be thinking about Walker mowers. Barry Equipment and Rental, South Lincoln and Jerome, and Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, along with 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Absolutely. They've got all your equipment needs. You stop in and see Barry Equipment and Rental today. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Nancy Pelosi, and I put this question out to you this morning. Nancy Pelosi I wonder if being dumb is a long-term trait that she has had, or if it's something that she just acquired recently. She came out Friday and said one of the dumbest remarks that I personally have ever heard, and many of the news media picked up on it and said the same thing. She said, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, that members of Congress are living from paycheck to paycheck just like the average or below average Americans. Let me tell you what she said again, and think about this. Chew on it for a second. She said that members of Congress are living from paycheck to paycheck like average or below average Americans. Now, let's just put this in perspective. Congress makes an average of $175,000 a year. The average American in the middle class, which is really going downhill, makes barely over $50,000. And those in the lower class are lucky to scrape together maybe $25,000 to $30,000. So how? And by the way, let's back up a little bit about Congress. All the pensions and all the benefits that supersede what they get paid as far as an average salary of $175,000. How can she, Nancy Pelosi, be that outright dumb in saying something like that? That members of Congress are living just paycheck to paycheck, and they just absolutely are having a hard time making it, just like average America. Well, then my suggestion would be to just back up and sit on the sofa for a few minutes with a legal pad and a pencil and try to figure out, Mr. or Mrs. Congressperson, what in the heck are you doing with all your money? What are you doing with $175,000? What are you doing living that high on the hog to the point where you're broke? And then the pensions and the extra benefits. And comparing to average Americans. That, to me, Mrs. Pelosi should be just kind of escorted down the hall and have her sit in a padded room for a while and relax. Ay, ay, ay. I want to remind you about our friends over at Scows. Old Jeff, I got to get Jeff back on the air again. I mean, what a great guy, Scows, and they are having, of course, 3 locations serving you. And I want to stress the fact that we're at about the end of that fleet filter survey, and you better just get it taken care of. Do all the work in getting your vehicles all lined out and get them ready for that fleet filter survey. So if something breaks down this spring, especially we're getting closer and closer to a lot of guys hitting the field, you can just call and say, hey, truck number, whatever, and they've got all the information and they can help you. And by the way, Scows CarQuest is teamed up with Baldwin Filters, the best heavy-duty filters in the industry. Scows CarQuest on 8th Street and Highway 25 in Rupert, Scows CarQuest of Burley, 518 Oberlin, and Scows Sterling Truck Center, exit 211, I-84. Every detail matters at Scows CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Zeb, they're living it up high, buddy. They're enjoying their 4 or 8 or 12 years, whatever they spend, taking elaborate vacations, putting their kids through the highest education they can. They're living it up. That's what they're doing with their money.
I know, but you know, I'm going to be fair. Okay, now I know you're a fair man. You've called before, and let's both say that there is a percentage of senators and Congress people that probably are very diligent about what they do, how they spend their money, etc. But a lot of them live a very lavish and exciting lifestyle. And for Nancy Pelosi to be this stupid and say that they're living from paycheck to paycheck, that offends me.
Well, Nancy must have got in there under the handicap program because, you know, there's nothing right about her at all.
I don't know. I think she's very, very possibly outlived her abilities and capabilities, and I think it's time for Nancy to go home and just try to spend her husband's multi-millions and leave Congress and the Senate alone. There you go.
Okay, buddy.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Appreciate it. Thanks. I've never liked Nancy Pelosi. I've never trusted Nancy Pelosi, the Botox queen. And for her to say something like that, for America to hear it and say, oh, wait a minute. Talk about living paycheck to paycheck. That's not even close to suffering like we are. That's really offensive. By the way, right now it's time for the Capital Press Ag Minute, and it's brought to you by, I'm going to go over and have my hearing checked at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I want to go take the test, the screening, and then I want to tell you about it so that more of you will also go take the test and the screening, okay? Call her, Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology, at 312-0957, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And remember, hearing loss is not a part of aging. That's right, it's not normal. So please give her a call and sign up today. I'm going to be going over her hopefully in the next couple of weeks. 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital. Hey, we're going to have now the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. With multiple controversies swirling around milk production, dairy farmers should be prepared to answer criticisms. Persuasion expert Robert Gass says the dairy industry faces a gamut of contentious topics, including animal welfare, antibiotic usage, greenhouse gas emissions, and proper nutrition. Gass says consumers are prone to misinformation that farmers have the authority to dispel, particularly if they use the right rhetorical tools. Farmers can be effective in defending the dairy industry if they see the criticism as an opening to share information and don't allow the debate to become adversarial, he says. There may be conflicting perspectives, but farmers should point out that they share the goal of preserving the environment and making healthy products, Gass says.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
All right, brought to you by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. Schedule a hearing screening today. Did you hear that? I hope so. Call 312-0957. Thank you very much. Let's give away some cinnamon rolls. Now, here's the deal. You answer the question that I'm about ready to ask, and all you have to do is go into Sophie's Chatterbox, call first, and tell them what day you're going to pick up your cinnamon rolls. They're nice and fresh and gooey and ready to eat. Oh, they're great! And she'll have them ready for you, okay? Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert on the Square. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a bakery with the cinnamon rolls, bread rolls, all the pies. It's fantabulous. Here is the question today, and all you have to do is call 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. For all the movie buffs, here's a little trivia. In the John Wayne movie called Hondo, this is a big movie. It's been replayed and replayed and replayed and replayed. John Wayne playing Hondo. What was the name of his dog? What was the name of the dog in the movie Hondo? And right on cue, my dog starts barking. Anyway, call me right away, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Well, good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Was it dog?
No! Thank you. That's probably an obvious answer, but no, it wasn't dog. First person to call with the right answer as to what John Wayne in the movie Hondo was the name of his dog. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. It was dog.
No, it was not dog.
It wasn't?
No, sir. You're wrong. I'm sorry. Okay. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In one scene in particular, he called the canine by name. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, that is Zach.
No, Zach, you're ineligible.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before I said nothing.
I can't, I'd love to keep getting you fatter and fatter with cinnamon rolls, but you've won twice already, buddy. I can't give it to you.
Okay, that's why I said
all right.
That's the name.
Okay, you've won 97 times. Thanks.
Only 3.
Okay, thanks. By the way, now come on, that's not that hard. In the movie Hondo, here's another caller. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, the Big Jake.
No, that was another movie that John Wayne starred in as Big Jake, but that wasn't the name of the dog. Thanks for your try. Appreciate it. Come on, somebody's got to win those cinnamon rolls, and I'm telling you, these are not like your little bitty cinnamon rolls. These are big cinnamon rolls that are really good. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Sam.
Who is this?
Al.
Al Butler, you have won the cinnamon rolls. It is Sam, and the one section of the movie, the one scene, is when the Indians had captured John Wayne, and they were going to tie him down and pour hot coals on him. John Wayne sat up and yelled, "Sam, go, Sam!" And that's what the name of the dog was.
I just watched it last night.
Oh, did you? Okay. All right, well, you are the winner. All you have to do is call Sophie's Chatterbox and tell them when you're going to pick up your cinnamon rolls, okay?
Okay, you got the number?
43. No, you can look it up. That much you can do. I'm giving the free cinnamon rolls.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, buddy, thanks a lot. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The dog's name was Sam. There you go. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We have a brand new sponsor on our program this morning, and I want to say how pleased I am to have this very professional company, Streamline Precision. And they're located at 120 South, 100 West of Burley, next to Dot Foods. And I'm going to give you the number right now to call old Tim and the group right now today, 431-7314. Now, I would write that number down right now because Streamline Precision, by the way, I messed up their name. They're going to probably cancel me. Streamline Precision is absolutely a company that is a contracting construction company specializing in large-scale industrial projects. Now, they are experts. They are the pros in constructing agricultural buildings, grain silos, and commercial steel buildings. All you have to do is give them a call and talk to them about what you need today and get estimates right now. Call Tim at 431-7314. I mean, we're working with the best in professionals, ready to serve you with the best of everything. Very, very coordinated, accurate, and confidential and consistent to make sure everything is done right for you. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, 431-7314. And I'm going to be talking a lot more about them as the morning goes along. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, I just want to make a comment. They're having the school bond coming up for Taj County.
Yep.
I just happened to drive by the Burley High School the other day. They're saying that they need funds to fix the buildings because they're falling apart. I don't know how much they're spending on that fantastic thing out in front of the Burley High School, but I'm sure that's not repairing buildings.
I am not aware of what you are referring to, so be a little bit more specific.
Well, what it is, it's two big concrete pillars that are going up about 20 feet, and then they're building. I'm sure what it's going to be is a advertisement of the next coming games and so forth. But I'm saying if they need repair on the buildings, they ought to think about the repair on the buildings instead of adding something else that they haven't even needed for the last, I don't know how many years since they built that high school.
Well, now keep in mind, though, sir, in fairness, you're talking about 17 different schools in Cassia County that have needs of some repair that has to be done, whether it's water situations, whether it's electrical, whatever the case might be. So don't prejudge without knowing. Maybe the funding for that was already donated by some sponsors, and that is not part of this bill at all.
Well, maybe the sponsors could put it on something that's more useful.
Well, I tell you what then, why don't you, and I'll pass the buck along to you, why don't you call the school administrative office, ask the question about that, and get an answer, and then call me back.
Oh, that's a good idea.
There you go. Thank you.
I was just driving by the other day and saw that, and I thought, well, that's something to think about anyway.
Well, you call. I'm going to put the onus on you. You call the administrative offices, get an answer, and then call me back.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Appreciate it. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Sheridan Ranch 20th Annual Production Sale. Oh, my gosh, it's coming up this weekend. Can you believe it? Yep, March 7th at 1 p.m., Burley Livestock Sale Yards. And for more information, call Cordell at 824-5531. They are going to be selling 70 head of ripping good range bulls. They've been raised out in the rocks. They know how to travel. And I'll guarantee you, they're going to provide free delivery up to 300 miles, and they've got 15 head coming 2-year-olds, 55 head big mature yearlings. Don't miss this sale coming up this Saturday, March 7th at 1 p.m. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, Sheridan Ranch 20th Annual Production Sale, Cordell Sheridan and the rest of his family. Good morning. You're on the air. Hello.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
What was John Wayne's cat's name in True Grit?
John Wayne's what? You faded out on me there.
John Wayne's cat.
Tack?
Cat.
Oh, Cat.
What was his cat's name in True Grit?
Cat. Oh, let's see. I think it was... Oh, my goodness sakes. That's a fair question. I was going to say sheriff something, but I can't remember. What's the answer, Elias?
No.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't ask if I didn't.
General.
Okay, thank you. I did not remember that. Very good question. Thank you. Appreciate it. I did not remember that in True Grit, the cat's name. And I guess I'm not a cat lover. I didn't think of that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You can have a lot of fun with trivia sometimes, I'll say that. Don't forget, too, Minnecasia Sales. They, of course, bring you Dr. History on Tuesdays. They're located at 1321 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 878-2091. Oh, my goodness, they've got all your garage doors, vinyl and metal siding, and you know what else they've got? Along with everything for your home, they've got the Tartar, ranch, and farm equipment stuff. All the cattle handling equipment, the panels, tanks, waterers, everything at Minnecasia Sales. 1321 East Main in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
I believe the cat's name was General Sterling Price.
Well, good for you guys that are cat lovers, because I did not remember that, and I will bare my chest and say I'm sorry.
Well, when we are just John Wayne fans, it just happens.
Yeah, well, you know, you who has got enough donuts to sink a battleship and probably have put on 96 pounds.
I haven't even went and got any of them yet.
Well, you bet. Listen, what good is winning if you can't enjoy the fruits of your labor?
Well, the cows still got to eat, and they kind of take priority over me going and getting some.
Well, that's just laziness, and if you don't hurry up and go get them, I'm going to call them and tell them I'll take them.
Okay, I'll get them.
All right, have a good day. Thanks.
See you there, bye.
Okay, bye. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Well, tomorrow on the program, I am going to try, and I'm still working on getting him committed to coming on the show at 10:30 tomorrow, Ryan Horsley with the Reds Trading Post. And I'll tell you why. Obama's after our ammo. Now, some people will say, oh, well, yeah, but it's just a certain type of ammo. This man, this insidious administration, they are looking for any way they can to get around the corner and take ammo, starting with maybe 1 caliber, then maybe moving to another caliber. And it was said long, long ago, in the first 4 years of this administration, that Obama will do everything he can to get the Second Amendment and obliterate it. And I'm suggesting right now this morning, and I just want to hear what you have to say about this, I'm not suggesting a run on every sporting goods store to get all the ammo, etc., that you can buy, but I am saying that I think that if you've been waiting to perhaps purchase another firearm, or perhaps buy another pistol for your home protection, and the ammunition for it, I honestly feel that now is the best time to maybe go to your little savings account and, like me, draw that money out of it and go purchase those guns and ammo, because I'm very concerned about what this administration is going to do. Very concerned. I believe in my heart of hearts that this administration, before his tenure is up over the next 2 years, is going to do everything they can to finagle a taking or a stopping of ammunition, and just absolutely do what they can to diminish the Second Amendment. That's my own thoughts. I'd like to hear from you on what you think, because Obama, with his little pen and his phone, is right now very, very busy. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to get the weather on here real quick, and Michael Rogers Weather. And it's brought to you by Reds Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls, with, like I said, Ryan Horsley. So don't forget, they're in historic Old Town in Twin Falls, have been since 1936, and they've got all your ammo, all your guns, and accessories. And I'll tell you what, you get in there and visit with these folks. They also have very knowledgeable people at Reds Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Caller, I'll be there in just a second. Right now, here's Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers with Zeb at the Ranch. Welcome to the month of March. Welcome to a brand spanking new week of you, me, and sunny weather all the way till Friday. How about that? Temperatures get warmer by the time you get to Friday in the mid-50s. But for today, you're going to look for a high today at 48. Overnight low at 27. You'll see a few clouds in the skies, but storms are done. All the weather action is heading pretty much east of you, so you've got a nice week of nice weather as we walk our way out of winter and working our way towards spring. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Don't forget Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Guns, ammo, and excellent experience with their staff serving you. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I'd like to say, it's not only Obama, it's every person in Congress, because the Congress could stop him real easy. And as long as we keep electing these same ones, just like the ones we have in Idaho, nothing's going to change.
All right, now let me ask you a question. As long as we keep electing them just like the ones we have here in Idaho, so what are you talking about? You're being critical. Why?
I'm a strong believer in term limits.
Okay.
They all get back there. They're all embedded with each other, and they're not working for us.
All right, now what isn't? And I'm going to put you on the spot here because I want to have you break it down. What isn't Mike Crapo or Jim Risch or Simpson and Labrador? What are they not doing?
I'd like to ask them. I tried getting hold of Crapo. I've called everyone in the office. I want to specifically find out what they're doing when they say they're voting against something, why they're not going to their constituents back there, their other party across the aisle or other ones, and convincing them.
All right.
I'm only turning my call.
All right. Now, wait a minute. No, I want to jump in here. I agree with you that they need to be much more transparent in what's going on, and they need to spend more time talking to you and me and others. Now, let me tell you what I'm doing. I just talked to, over the weekend, the liaisons for Mike Crapo and Jim Risch, and I told them, I said, people out in the hinterland are getting a little bit upset because they've got a lot of questions that need to be answered, and there needs to be more time devoted to calling in and taking questions from the general public. Now, I will tell you this, that both Crapo and Risch's office are working all they can right after this last break to spend more time on the phone so they can answer your questions instead of getting a form letter. So bear with me on that. I'll do the best I can.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you. And I appreciate your concern because I've got the same concern. I don't want them acting as a quarterback for a one-man football team. I want them to work with other senators and congressmen and get something done effectively for what we want. I agree with the caller 100%. I'm doing all I can to make for longer times on the air, not this 10-minute garbage. I mean, I'm not criticizing Mike Crapo or Jim Risch, but 10 minutes? 10 minutes? Come on. I want at least a segment from, whether it's a 22 or 25-minute segment, I want the time to invite you folks to call and get your questions answered. You deserve it. You're the ones that voted them in. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think about the ammunition deal? Are you worried about it like I am? Are you worried about all of a sudden, well, maybe it's going to go from this kind of ammunition, maybe over to 30 shells? I'm just using whatever comes to mind here. Are you concerned about Obama's gun control through ammunition control? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, that last gentleman is right. They're not doing what they said they was going to do.
I agree.
A good case in point is what happened over the Friday when the Republicans went just like the Democrats said they'd do. They folded and they went and voted for that damn amnesty deal, almost.
I was so frustrated. I mean, I won't even tell you the words that I felt like when I heard that out, because I just wanted to go punch my fist through a wall. Where is the courage to stand up for convictions? Why does there always have to be a bending and backroom deals and I'll scratch my back if you scratch yours? I'm sick of this.
It's money.
Yeah, it is.
Soros and them has got the money to push all this crap through, and we've got a bunch of gutless damn people back there that won't do their damn job.
Well,
and I say, if you can't do it, come on home.
Let's take it one step further, though, okay? Did you see the little editorial by a lady by the name of Linda Brugger, the Twin Falls County Democratic chairman? Did you see that in the paper yesterday?
Yeah.
And in one little paragraph, she goes, and I'm going to read you the quote, and I want you to respond. She says, for example, the American Legislative Exchange Council and the Texas Koch brothers don't care about Idaho's middle class. Well, wait a minute, Linda. And if you have any backbone as a chairperson, please come on my program. What about George Soros? What about Tom Steyers and all their billions trying to buy elections to go the other way? How dare you just criticize the Koch brothers, etc.?
Yeah, doesn't she realize that George Soros has been the backbone and the instigator of 5 different nations has went bankrupt and been under different control because of his attitude.
Yeah.
So what in the hell are we letting him get away with it for?
You know, here's what's interesting. After the program this morning, I'm going to try to find a number for Linda Brugger, the chairperson for the Twin Falls County Democrats, and I'm going to invite her on the program. And you want to make a bet as to whether she accepts?
I don't think she will. But I'll tell you, I got a message for all these so-called good Republicans. If you'd quit your damn infighting and get together, put your heads together and your courage and get together and stop all this crap, you'd have a hell of a lot better nation. But quit going in the back rooms and pat each other on the back and say, well, nice job, buddy. When are we going to go to the next beer?
You know what? I think that should be recorded, and we should have sent that back to be played in front of their meetings. Very well said.
Ridiculous.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate it.
Right.
He's right. He's right. I'm so fed up with this lip service, and I've said it for a long time on this program, and you've heard me, that, hey, I don't care about what you have done. If they would have been here for the Lincoln Day banquet, and whether it was Mike Simpson, or whether it was Jim Risch, or whether it was Mike Crapo, I don't care. But to stand up there at the podium and say, well, I've done this, I've done that, I've initiated this, I don't care. What I want is a cohesive, coordinated teamwork to squash, literally squash like a bug, what the Democrats and the liberals are trying to do to this country underneath the guise of the Obama administration. That's what I want to hear about. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 336 South, 450 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-2485 or 431-8733. I'll tell you, now's a great time to get your trees properly pruned for this next summer. The fruit trees, ornamental trees, shade trees, everything. And if you've got dangerous trees, no problem, not to Scott. They can handle it. They've been doing this tree and landscape business for over 35 years. Please give them a call. 438-2485 or 431-8733. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, that you made a comment, or you posed the question of what people think about this ammunition bill.
Yeah.
Basically what it is, they're starting with the most popular round in America, which is the 5.56 or the 223.
Yep.
They kind of lumped it in together with some handgun or pistol ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
What it is they're going to start from the top, and he already knows that he can't take our guns. It'll be an outright civil war. But he already told us, I can't take them, so I'll make them too expensive or I'll tax them to death. And that's exactly what he's starting to do.
Okay, but now stop right there. Stop right there. I'm not an advocate of hoarding. I'm not an advocate of running to every store and trying to clean them out. But do you agree with the premise that if at some time you, your wife, or someone in your family has considered a gun for protection for their home or their business, now might be the best time to get that done?
Absolutely it is. In fact, in the last 2 weeks, we've actually seen, the major retailers, Cabela's, Bass Pro, all those people are advocating that we come in and buy them just to prove that there's a demand and a need for them.
And here's something else that really bugs me, and I want you to respond to this real quick. Our local Times News has run quite a few editorials that are, in my opinion, anti-gun and anti-gun ownership and calling us gun nuts and everything else. And I'm really highly offended by that. I've never been convicted of any crime, never accused of any crime, but I'll tell you one thing, I want to make sure that I can protect my wife and myself.
Oh, absolutely. If you notice, the Times News is becoming probably the most liberal voice in probably all of southern Idaho. It's been the most liberal outlet for quite a while, and it doesn't surprise me that they do this. It's kind of a crying shame that they're that closed-minded and they can't open their eyes. There's more guns in Idaho than there are people, meaning that some people may not own any, but several people own more than one.
Yeah, but
that's the way of the West. That's the way we live our lives. We're sportsmen. We're gun enthusiasts, and we haven't done anything to break the law. In fact, if you look at countries where gun ownership is mandatory, their crime rate is next to none.
That's right.
Why can't we adopt something similar to that, where everybody knows they're protected, and so nobody's going to try anything?
My fear is
managing or micromanaging everything we do, telling us we're not smart enough or we're not capable enough of owning a firearm.
I agree.
Protect ourselves.
I agree. I want to get one more question into you. Make a short answer because I've got to get a commercial in. I think that we're also going to see it much tougher to get and study for and or apply for concealed weapons permits. What are your thoughts, real quick?
I think that's probably coming. As we've seen recently, it's been fairly easy, especially in Burley. If you have a hunter's ed card, you can go in and get a concealed weapons permit for the state of Idaho. But I do believe you're right. I believe it's going to get real hard real soon.
All right, sir. Thank you for your call.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it. Hey, don't forget, spring tire sale. Big spring tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my. Listen to this. On sale right now, the Passenger Eclipse tire. All-season traction. Advanced design tread starting at just $63.59. And listen to this one. They've got some passenger car tires. All-season traction. Affordable pricing starting at just $39.99. I'm not kidding. $39.99. You better stop in today at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The absolute best. Best in brake service, the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. It's all there. And the big spring tire sale going on right now. See Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Pauline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We are going to take a little break for a couple of minutes. I'll take one quick call. I've got exactly 30 seconds. Don't be long. Go.
Hey, Hoss, this is the Chief.
Yeah, fast. Go.
You know what makes me so discouraged, because, like, I've been involved with firearms since I was 8 years old, and a lot of people that practice a lot, like I try to, they'll burn up a couple hundred rounds a week or more. I mean, some people do more than that in a day. And reloading components right now are outrageous.
Yeah.
They finally started to get some stuff in, but you're still paying way more than you're supposed to be paying for primers. There's very, very little bit assortment of powder that's available. All
right, I gotta go, Chief.
Start another big run again, and nobody will be able to get anything.
I agree, Chief. I'm out of time. You can see that on your watch. I appreciate your call, and you're right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, my friend. Got to run to the news from CBS. We'll be back. Don't go away. Oh, my. Pardon me last hour, having that cough. I don't know what's the matter. I've had that cough for a long time. Poor Al and Polly, they've had it for, 6 years? Holy smokes. Anyway, good morning. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, and some of our great advertisers that include Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Always at your disposal, locally owned and operated, and taking care of serving you, getting rid of your garbage. Give them a call, 734-6969. Western Waste Services, you call them today. Wonderful people. Also, our thanks. I didn't get a chance to visit with him, but I had a chance to just say hello the other day on Saturday, and that was with Joel Heward, manager of Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. He was basically sitting in the next table, and I didn't get a chance to say hello. I Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel, his family, and his staff absolutely helping families during a very, very critical time. When there's the passing of a loved one, everything is just thrown up in the air, very tumultuous times. Well, they will help you, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Please call them today, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Holy smokes, this is going to be interesting because I'm going to be like the teacher, and I'm going to call Frosty Woldridge up to the front of the class, and I'm going to have him give us a really good excuse. Maybe he was riding his bicycle someplace. Why did you miss last weekend?
Good morning, Zeb, and happy March to every person listening across Zeb at the Ranch Land. And, a senior moment. I'm not kidding you. This kid sat here right through the 9 o'clock hour, just as busy as I always am, working away on new columns, and that's exactly what happened. Senior moment.
We were talking about you, and I said, of all the people in my list of guests that I've had, nobody is more reliable than Frosty Woldridge. And that very same day, you're not here.
I'm a senior. And that's the first time in I don't know, what are we closing in on, 8, 9, 10 years now? I don't know, but that's the first time that's ever happened. But, hey, everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes, and as you get a little older, the mind starts to slip.
I love it.
But I want you to know I've got the alarms. I got 3 different things to make sure that I get up with Zeb in the morning. So
listen.
We should make sure it's a good record from here on out.
God bless you, man. I'm just kidding you. Hey, listen, one thing that I'm not going to kid about this morning, and when I heard this, I stopped in mid-step, and I looked at the television set, and I thought, you have got to be kidding me. And I know if anybody knows about this, you do. Now, illegal aliens are allowed to file tax returns under Obama's amnesty plan, and a family of 4 could get up to $35,000. This is the biggest joke I've ever heard in my life. Please, give me your take on this.
Well, it's not a joke. And several other top writers out there, of course, and I would really steer you, the listener, to News with Views this morning, and I did part 16 of Impregnating America with Muslims. The subtitles, We Don't Know What We're In For. It will really, it will set you back. It will not make you too excited. And as with the same amnesty, do you realize that since 1986 we've given 7 other amnesties? I didn't realize there were 7. I knew there were a couple of minor ones in there. But here's what one of the writers said, who's really on top of this, that we're creating countries within our country. Mm-hmm. And that kind of meddling with the U.S. Constitution by Barack Obama will make us pay in years to come, as these literally 15 to 20 million or more illegal Mexicans, essentially Mexicans, 80% of Mexicans that have crashed our borders, and Central and South Americans, they're simply creating their own, essentially, refugee camps. And here's what I mean about that. When you talk about the tax credits given to illegal aliens that never filed any income tax whatsoever just because they got this interim amnesty, that means they get to siphon off all of the monies that you and I work for. And I have been a working man all my life, 50 years my life. As a kid. I started working at the age of 11, paper route and lawn mowing and you name it. And so with this latest income tax credits, you have to understand that once he gets into full swing here with this amnesty, and it looks like the Senate is just caving in on this, McConnell and right on down the line, Boehner, these illegals are going to get another closer foothold into our country. And as I've said in the past, we're $18 trillion in debt as a nation. And John Adams, our second president, said there are 2 ways to conquer a nation, by the sword and by debt. And so, Zeb, we're in a lot of trouble with this, and yet the American people just watch their senators do nothing, They watched their House reps do absolutely nothing to stop this invasion of our country, and we're all going to reap the whirlwind of consequences as we create countries within our country, and that's exactly what's happening.
Okay, but Frosty, here's the bottom line, and you and I have talked about this both publicly on the radio program and privately on telephone calls. What can the American people do? I mean, I call and I will say I want enough of this. I want a complete review as to why this is happening. I want you to get back to me, and then I get a form letter like most Americans do. I'm fed up with it. I cannot in any way, under God's great Son, understand how a family of 4 that are illegally here in America, let me emphasize that, they are illegally here. They've broken the law to come here. They are aliens because they are not citizens of this country, are getting back possibly $35,000 in tax returns. Please, I don't understand this.
Well, I don't understand it as much as you don't understand it, because I'm, again, a math science teacher, and the only way to really pass your mathematics or your science tests is to study and be a part of the school system in which you are a part of, and that your parents pay the taxes, to pay the teachers, to pay the janitors, to pay the food service, to make the school district run. And that's what America formerly represented. Today, we really, and unfortunately, as Thomas Jefferson, way back in 1776, he really pushed through 1780 and 90 for term limits. What we're seeing is essentially an oligarchy, if you will, or certainly just a good old boy network of people who get into Congress, and 96% of them incumbents get reelected. And as long as we, the American people, reelect these people that are not serving us, that are not serving the Constitution, that are not doing anything to make it better for us, the American citizens in this country, then we're going to get what we get. And as always, I always encourage each listener across America to Zeb at the Ranch Show weekly, www.capsweb.org, capsweb.org, certainly numbersusa.org, and FAIR, FAIRUS.org. Those 3 organizations are what empower you to stop this thing, to change this thing, to stop illegal immigration, and to force the congressmen and senators and the congresswomen to actually adhere to the U.S. Constitution.
Absolutely.
And unless if we keep sitting by and watching it happen, then we're going to keep getting exactly what we're getting right now, and that's the fact that our country is being overrun, Zeb.
Absolutely. Frosty, we have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. Real fast, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, Frosty, what amazes me is that we haven't heard enough, and why we haven't heard from them, the new crop of freshman senators and congressmen, and why they aren't, because they were elected in most cases to stand by the Constitution. They're, Tea Party, so to speak, patriots. Why haven't they spoke up more against Boehner and McConnell? And because of this caving, we have a somewhat of a mandate here, and you just say you want to strangle these people. I'll hang up. Thanks.
What he just said, Frosty, is I think the general feeling of people that I talked to over the weekend. There's a feeling of, my goodness, I'd like to grab them by the short end of the necktie and just absolutely turn their face red, because they're not going back there with the attitude of trying to make things better. Your response?
And the caller is exasperated as I am, and we Americans, we unhyphenated Americans, we true blue, red, white, and blue Americans, we are exasperated beyond understanding because our representatives will not adhere to the Constitution. I did go down to Senator Cory Gardner's office just last week. I told you I was going to do that. I gave a half-hour presentation to Miss Nicole Frazier. I said, here's what we're facing with just the legal immigration coming into our country, in excess of 100 million people. And I said, it's like doubling the population of our 35 most populated cities. I said, how are we going to warm and water and feed and transport and educate and medicate that many people? She was astounded. And she was blown away, and I gave her like 8 books, and I gave her a whole, all this information on a short list and a notebook, and I gave her the outline of the presentation. I said, this is what we're facing, and my bet is, just like when I did it 2 years ago down to Bennett's office, they won't listen to us, and so until we see the consequences that are going to continue to pile up, then every one of us that are hardworking American citizens, legal American citizens, are simply going to pay for the folly of this massive illegal invasion and this amnesty, which is in violation of the U.S. Constitution. I mean, let's face it, Barack Obama is in violation of the U.S. Constitution just by being the president of the United States. But again, 51% of us reelected that man into the office. And only history is going to really tell the real story of how this man scammed his way into the White House. But we are the American citizens, and we're going to be paying the price, and we're probably going to be paying it more and more, as you can see, especially with the Muslim immigration into this country. If you think the Mexican immigration into this country is bad, you just wait till these Muslims start making even greater numbers and their impact on our nation. We talk about a fundamental change of our country. It's coming, and it's coming hard.
I just don't understand, Frosty. You've been to the border. I've been to the border numerous times. I mean, we've had programs about it and everything. Really, when you stop and think about it, tell me one other country in the world today that would allow the porous, absolutely insane attitude of, well, come on in, doesn't make any difference who you are, just come on in. And like they found 3 Al-Shabaab terrorists crossing the border in Texas this weekend. Well, son of a gun, I wonder how they got here. We are acting like a bunch of insane children.
It is frustrating beyond understanding, but again, I think some great, and it was especially Ben Franklin said, well, we've created a constitutional republic if you can keep it. One of the things that we now have in this country, that more than anything after World War II, is a complete apathy to involve ourselves in politics. And the American people just aren't getting involved. And because they don't get involved, then those with money are making sure that those who are involved are getting paid off at the highest levels. There is a reason why the borders are not being patrolled. There's a reason why there's no internal enforcement. Hormel, McDonald's, Swift, Armour, certainly Tyson Chicken, construction companies, roofing companies that hire illegals. Every man or woman in any organization that hires illegals in this country, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, is absolutely a misnomer because it promotes illegal immigration into this country. So as long as that continues, then we will have illegal immigration displacing Americans and displacing our jobs and running our economic system into the ground and certainly overwhelming our medical systems. As you know, there's over 400,000 anchor babies every year. That hasn't stopped. I keep tabs on this. So unless and until it starts affecting more and more Americans, then we're simply going to continue to do nothing because it's a definite fact that our senators and House reps are doing nothing to stop illegal immigration coming into this country.
Frosty, one other subject that you and I have not talked about a lot on this program, but I mentioned it the first hour, and I think it's worthy of getting your viewpoint on this. I don't know how you feel about the Second Amendment. I don't know how you feel about having guns and ammo available in your home for your own home protection, but I will tell you this. I think that what Obama is doing right now this morning as we speak and trying to use his pen and phone to limit and or curtail ammunition sales as his way of possibly starting to skirt around the Second Amendment and have gun control in America is very scary. This man absolutely scares me.
He frightens me also. I am 100% in favor of the Second Amendment for the very fact that there are 2 aspects of a civilization, and if the citizens are armed, then they are citizens. If they are not armed, they are subjects. And you look at any country that doesn't have armed citizens, you have dictatorships. You have Saudi Arabia, you have Iran, you have all these kinds of situations where the citizens don't have a say. And I don't care anybody, whether, there's all these people killing each other in this country with handguns. If they didn't have handguns, they would just kill them with knives, or they'd strangle them. The murders that go on in this country they're just part and parcel of the terrible aspect of humanity that has violence or suffers violence or just participates in violence. That's not going to end. But the moment we don't have guns to protect ourselves, and I do, in our own homes, then we will have lost our citizenship and we will become subjects. So I am 100% a Second Amendment man and a supporter of it.
Are we at that point, though, with what has he got left in office? I think he's got something like 689 days left in office. Are we at that point, that juncture in this term of this president, that our Constitution is absolutely being held over a fireplace and ready to be dropped in and burned? Whether it's our free speech, whether it's our right to carry and bear arms. I mean, there's a lot in that Constitution that's at stake that I'm worried might not survive this Obama administration.
Well, that's exactly correct. Again, we're facing a fundamental change of our country. In the next 1 year and 10 months that he has in the office, the projections are he's going to bring in at least 300,000, even as high as 500,000 more Muslims. And I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, every listener out there, at some point, you're going to have a mosque be built in your hometown. You're going to have these imams preaching Sharia law. They're going to embed themselves. And this man, whether you think he is a liar or you think he is honest or not, he is facilitating a massive and continued immigration, legally and illegally, into our country to displace us. Pardon me. So that's what we're facing, a fundamental change of our country, and it's coming in faster than most people understand.
Are you involved in a group of people back in Colorado that are trying to be more forceful with not only your state legislature but also on a national level? I mean, give my listeners something this morning that they can sink their teeth in. Are there other groups besides the groups that you mentioned that other people can try to forward and perpetrate here in the state of Idaho?
There are more. There's grassfire.com. There's alipac.us. There's carryingcapacity.org. Mm-hmm. There's grassfire.com. Mm-hmm. Those are more organizations that you can join. And the biggest key was numbers and CAPS Web is that you get to send in they show you how to phone into your representative and or your senator. I mean, and which I do regularly, and I send off the faxes when they ask me to send the faxes, which are already pre-written letters. Those are the most effective. You can also go down to your senator and your senator, both your senators, and go to your House rep, and go and talk to the aide. When I talked to that aide last week, she was blown away. I said, "This is what's coming. This is going to manifest. This is what your children are going to be facing." She was literally astounded. But again, I'm just one person walking into the U.S. Senator Cory Gardner's, and I'm going to go to Bennett's next week again. And so, if every person in Idaho got into their senators' offices and said the same things we're talking about right now, and I told the lady, Nicole Frazier, I said, we need to stop all Muslim immigration into this country. It's going to crack our country in half. We need to stop mass immigration legally coming in, or we're not going to be able to survive the 21st century. I said, so have Cory Gardner put a bill into office to reduce all immigration to less than 100,000 per year. Otherwise, we're simply not going to survive the 21st century as an intact civilization where the American dream, proliferates. And so that's what you need to do yourselves. If everybody in Idaho did that, then we would have a huge impact. And along with all the letters and the phone calls from Numbers USA and CapsWeb.org and FAIR, past that, you got to elect somebody that's standing up for America in the next election cycle, not the 96% of you who re-elected the same old guys and gals into office that are doing absolutely nothing to stand up for the Constitution.
Absolutely.
That's about all I know that we can do, Zeb.
Absolutely. Frosty, I really do enjoy the conversations on Monday, and thank you so much for your time here today, and we'll look forward again to next Monday. God bless you, my dear friend, in Golden, Colorado.
Thank you, Zeb, and heart to heart, my friend.
Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Frosty Woldridge, a dear, dear friend and very, very knowledgeable man about what's happening on our borders or what's not happening on our borders and illegal immigration. Thank you very much. All right, let's see. We got to gather things up here and get caught up. Here we go. The 20th annual production sale for the Sheridan Ranch is going to be at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard this Saturday, March 7th, starting at 1 p.m. Don't miss it. Lunch will be provided at noon. Cordell and Patty Sheridan and their family have outstanding bulls that are going to be sold on this next Saturday. These are bulls that have been raised in the rocks. These are bulls that have been raised out in the country so they know how to transport themselves from one area to another. They're not wussy bulls. These are real bulls that'll get the job done. Offering yearling and coming 2-year-olds, Gelbvieh, Angus, and Balancer bulls, the best. Right there this Saturday at the 20th annual Sheridan Ranch production sale at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard at 1 p.m. Don't you miss it, okay? Also, if you haven't got your four-wheelers all taken care of, serviced for this next year, I would highly suggest that you call the service department, talk to Scott over there at 436-4771, and get them over to Let's Ride. Yes, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Yes, sir, Bob. They got excellent service department. Excellent service department. And get those four-wheelers serviced and take a look at all the new four-wheelers on the showroom floor, or take a look at all the street bikes and dirt bikes. Oh my goodness, they got rebates on the dirt bikes. And they've got all the accessories for what you like to do. So please, get over there and just enjoy where the fun is sold. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You betcha. Let's ride. And while we have just a minute, let's see, what else have I got here? Cameron and Siemens Insurance had a nice chance to visit Saturday with Dean for just a little bit at the Lincoln Day luncheon. When you think about life insurance and health insurance and retirement planning and employee benefits, don't forget, always remember Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Yep, Dean and Todd Siemens, really good folks. They understand, they're dedicated and responsive to your needs, and they can help you with your financial future. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call for an appointment is 436-4424. Don't you forget it, okay? Really nice people. In just a few minutes, we're going to have the lovely Carrie Kupek with Alliance Defending Freedom. That's coming up in just a second. Don't forget that. And let's see, if I got any other news notes here that I need to put on. I think I've taken care of that. Got that public service out of the way for right now. And so let's go to the phone lines and say good morning to the lovely Carrie Kupek. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning, Dad. How are you this morning?
I am fantastic. I bet you get kind of sick and tired of my wife and I always bugging you for information for the program, don't you?
No, I love it.
Okay. Not too many days ago, you and I were talking about this Washington State florist that might lose her livelihood. She might lose her business. She could even lose her home. She could lose just about everything she has in life, primarily because she did not want to provide flowers for a gay wedding. And she suggested somebody else might want to do the job. But boy, the gay and lesbians and transgenders are coming after her. What's the status update on that case?
Well, I know Kelly Fedorf, one of our attorneys, was on last week talking about it, and what's really frightening about this case is that the Attorney General and in Washington State is sending a very terrifying message that if you dare disagree with the state's perspective on same-sex marriage, you will face professional and personal ruin. And what makes this case particularly horrifying is that not only does Bear now risk losing her business, but I'd like to add, she took over from her mother who had Alzheimer's, who she built this business with her mother, and so it's been in the family for decades. But not only that, but her home, her savings, her retirement, they could potentially even go after her dog because it has value. And the ACLU has gone after Bear now with a vengeance. And really, they've worked hand in hand with the Attorney General to make an example, to really scare anyone in that state ever again from operating according to their beliefs on marriage and operating according to their faith and conscience. And so we have been really engaged this past week with media, and we've really gotten a quite positive response, because I think regardless of how you feel about same-sex marriage, I think the idea of a government coming in and strong-arming anybody to operate and violate their most deepest held convictions and beliefs would scare anyone, and it should. So I hope that people are getting that message, and we think they are.
Carrie, I want you to elaborate a little bit on a part of the story that I think concerns me more than anything else. And it's the Gestapo attitude, like, you either change your thinking or we'll force you into mind-altering classes so that you can be one of ours and think like we do. That just really bothers me.
And it should. A government that tells you what you must say is terrifying. And that's exactly what's going on in Washington State. And this has also been going on in other different parts of the country. We have the baker in Colorado. We obviously saw what happened to the photographer in New Mexico. And there are numerous other people across this country. And I think that every American should be deeply concerned about the idea of what you said, this Gestapo-esque sort of mentality where a government can come and force you to speak a message or create art or create work that completely violates and contradicts everything you believe and stand for.
You know, where are we on this kind of a concept, Carrie? I mean, if it wasn't for the Alliance Defending Freedom, who else is out there to protect us? It looks like our own government is trying to take our rights away from us.
Right. And again, I really think that people are seeing that regardless of where you stand on, say, this issue of marriage, that this is bigger than that. This is about the government coming in, forcing you to operate against your beliefs, forcing you to send a message with which you disagree, and everyone should be concerned about that. And so we will see what happens. It's very important for people to keep talking about this, to remain vigilant in their states and their towns, and to keep an eye on things, because nobody wants to be in a position where the government can come in and personally and professionally destroy you if you dare to disagree with them and operate according to your First Amendment protected beliefs.
Let me ask you kind of a protocol question on this story. If, and I'm sure it's going to happen again, somebody, whether they're a florist or whether they might be a caterer or whomever, is probably going to have this happen again. What should people do immediately about being confronted with possibly a lawsuit?
Well, you can certainly contact us at alliancedefendingfreedom.org, and we're here to help represent and advocate for the rights of people to sue without their faith, like Darnell. Because again, this is not, some people like to compare this to some awful things that this country's done in the past, but this is not what this is about. Darnell, the Washington florist, faithfully served Rob for 9 years. They were friends. She was a longtime customer of hers. In fact, she was on the Kelly File just last week on Fox News, and she expressed yet again her love for him, and that's a complete, sincere love. She did his flowers for everything. But because of this one event, this marriage, which as an artist, she could not violate her beliefs. She could not violate her convictions about what marriage is. And so she declined to do this one event. This horrific lawsuit, with 2 lawsuits, were launched against her. And that's a very scary, chilling message for all Americans.
Hooray for the state of Missouri. At least the Show Me state is saying, no, we want to make sure that we affirm that marriage should be with one man and one woman. However, that's under fire also, isn't it?
It is, and the people of every state should be free to affirm marriage as one man and one woman. This is something that has been universally held as truth for across race, across culture, across hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, Missouri went to the ballot box. They voted for a constitutional amendment to affirm marriage as one man, one woman. Every single county in Missouri voted, except for one, to affirm marriage as one man, one woman. And unfortunately, last year, one district court judge, against all the people in Missouri, said, "No, sorry, you can't affirm that truth." And so this is up on appeal before the 8th Circuit. We have filed a friend of the court brief supporting the freedom of people of Missouri to affirm marriage as one man, one woman.
You know, Carrie, the sanctity of marriage, since I was a little boy, has been under attack. And if we don't stand up for the basic principles of one man and one woman, I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but eventually in the future, some guy could marry his goldfish.
Right, and the thing is, marriage, the state has a very strong interest in affirming marriage as a one-man, one-woman union because children do best in homes that have their biologically intact mom and dad. So for a state to create a public policy that out of the gate eliminates the child from ever knowing either their biological mom or biological dad is just really undermining to what's best for the child. We already have enough broken homes. We have such an issue with lack of fathers in this country. Why, as a matter of policy, would we want to, out of the gate, eliminate that child from ever knowing who their mom and dad is? Not just having them, but ever even knowing who they are and where they came from. And so our brief that we submitted to the 8th Circuit discusses that aspect of it.
Carrie, anything else that you want to tell us about either story, the florist in Washington or the state of Missouri? I've got about 1 or 2 minutes left in this segment.
Sure. With Missouri, it's important for everyone to remember that the big federal marriage cases, the ones that dealt with DOMA a few years ago, Windsor, which is the name of one of those cases, explicitly said that marriage is the business of the state. So all of these states that are currently fighting for their freedom to affirm marriage as one man, one woman have been already confirmed by the Supreme Court that it's perfectly within their right to do so. So we're continuing to support the efforts of states to do that. In fact, in the 8th Circuit, which is where Missouri falls, the 8th Circuit already said a number of years ago that it was within the state's right to protect marriage as one man, one woman. They did that with Nebraska. So it would make sense for them to follow the Supreme Court, to follow what their own circuit has already said, and affirm the right of the people of Missouri to affirm marriage as one man and one woman.
Absolutely. And if folks want to help and follow these stories with Alliance Defending Freedom, tell us where they can find you folks on the web, etc.
They can go to alliancedefendingfreedom.org, or if they want to look at some of the legal documents and the memos and the brief meetings, they can go to adfmedia.org.
Very well said. Carrie Kupek, wonderful lady at Alliance Defending Freedom. Thank you so much. God bless. We'll see you next Monday.
Thanks so much, Dad. Have a good day.
Take care. Thank you. Always look forward to having Carrie on our program. Very informative, and we thank the Alliance Defending Freedom. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk to you about professionals, people that really, really care about their business and how they serve you. And I'm talking about Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. And I want to give you the number right now, first and foremost, 431-7314. You call them if you need anything with construction, excavation, and fabrication services. I'm going to tell you, folks, Streamline Precision Contracting also provides complete excavation services, including public projects, large pipelines, irrigation canals, settling ponds, everything. And they're currently, by the way, building the new Funk Dairy over here in Murtaugh. These are professionals that really know their business. Now, for estimates, all you have to do is call that number. Call 431-7314. I'll repeat it again. Call Tim at 431-7314, and they will serve you. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. Get a hold of them today. Okay, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got it. Gina, this story just doesn't make sense to me. Are you right there by your microphone?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I know you're busy, probably, but I got to get your opinion on this. Little bitty story in the paper this morning.
Okay.
And I cut it out, and it's a tragedy, really, but there's a lot of questions I have in my mind. The headline was, Eastern Idaho woman loses foot trying to get past a parked train. Okay?
Okay.
Now, it's a short story, and I'm going to read it to you, but it's just shot full of holes, all right? It says, an Eastern Idaho woman who tried to climb through a train blocking the road lost her right foot when the train started moving. 18-year-old Sarah Mowers of Idaho Falls said she was skateboarding home from work at 11 o'clock at night when she came up to the parked train. She said she couldn't see the front end or the back end, so she sat down and waited. She said she became cold after 20 minutes and walked 100 yards south, where she tried to climb between the two cars. She says that's when the wheels turned and severed her foot. Now, aren't there a lot of questions that you as a journalist have about how this story is written?
A lot of questions are left unanswered. Why if it was parked for so long, I mean, common sense would dictate that you would just kind of walk around one of the cars.
And she says she became cold after 20 minutes and walked 100 yards south. Well, what difference would it make if she walked 100 yards south or north? If the train was long in either direction, why didn't she just climb through where she was initially?
Not the brightest crayon?
And then, why in the world, when you're going to climb through a train, why go underneath when you could just climb up over and jump out of there? I mean, you don't mess around with a train, whether it's parked or whatever. And skateboarding at 11 o'clock at night in the dark? Are you kidding me?
It leaves a lot of questions to be answered. So, and she was 18 years old. She was skateboarding home from work, so...
At almost midnight.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions there, and we've got a phone call for you.
Okay, thanks. But ponder that and come back with a reasonable opinion.
I will.
Thank you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I'm just passing through on my way. I'm from Utah, and I'm on my way to northern Idaho, and heard your program and thought I'd call in. I'm a gay man, and I have a partner who lives in northern Idaho. We've been together 4 years. We're not married. We're not going to get married. But I'm appalled at the direction our country's going. We're losing our freedoms at a breakneck pace, and gay marriage. I'm for it, sure, but it's just such an unimportant issue. We're becoming a police state, a total surveillance police state, and it's no consolation to me as a gay man that, we're going to have gay marriage. Oh, great, when we're losing all our freedoms. It's just such an unimportant issue in the grand scheme of things.
Let me ask you a couple of questions.
Diversion. Huh?
Okay. I was just going to say, let me ask you a couple of questions so we can have a little give and take on this. I absolutely am against gay marriage. I absolutely am against what's going on with the gay, lesbian, and transgender task force of trying to change our society into their way of thinking and accepting everything their way or the highway. So you know where I stand on this issue. Your attitude has been much more amenable to a give and take, and I can respect your attitude more so than others.
Yeah, well, and it's like, I can say, sure, I'm for gay marriage in that I think that it's kind of a constitutional issue, I guess, if you say that, look, marriage is a contract. It's a complicated contract between adults, and, I think it's fine for people to enter into contracts, anyway, but that doesn't mean that churches should have to perform gay marriages, or that anybody should have to decorate cakes or host gay marriages that doesn't believe in it.
Well, right there.
It's a freedom issue.
Yeah, hold on just a second, because you're making some really good points. Number one, let's talk about the issue regarding the florist shop, or the lady and her husband that owned the bakery, and they were forced and coerced into getting a cake made for a wedding. I believe, and I think maybe you will too, that people should have the right of refusal if it's against their mindset and or against their religion. religion. But the government coming in and saying to you, Mr. and Mrs. Businessman, if you don't conform to their thought process, we're going to run you out of business. That's a Gestapo government.
It is, and I also think it's horrible when gays and lesbians do things to try and pressure people or force them to, you have to decorate my cake, you have to take my wedding photo, you have to host my wedding. I think that's horrible and wrong, and it's anti-liberty. As a gay man, I've been an employer, and I am a landlord, and you know what? If I only want to hire gay people, or if I only want to rent my house to gay people, that's my business. And I believe that people have a right to discriminate, as harsh as that sounds. I think it's a fundamental liberty of Americans, and it's wrong to try and force people to do business with you or associate with you if they don't want to. It's...
I think what you're looking at here in this situation as to what's going on in this state of Idaho is, I'm sure you're probably aware, there were a certain group of people with the Gay and Lesbian Alliance that wanted to have some certain words added to the legislature to change things, and it was called Add the Words on a non-discriminatory type situation. But most people don't realize that already it's against the law to discriminate in fair housing. It's against the law to discriminate whether you have a restaurant or whatever. And how are you going to know? If you walked into my home right now, I wouldn't know your sexual preference unless you had stated it. And nobody is going to sit down at the lunch counter and ask if they're gay or lesbian before they get serving. That is absolutely asinine and ridiculous.
It is, and so anyway, it's just, I've got a little example of how I feel about all this, is like if you, okay, let's say there's a prison warden, and the inmates just hate him. He's really cruel and harsh and all that in his treatment of the prisoners. And so he's going to throw a 4th of July barbecue for his co-workers and friends, and he's going to force the inmates to cater the picnic. Well, would you want to drink the lemonade?
Absolutely not.
No. I mean, so I think if you're a gay couple and you're going to a cake decorator or a wedding photographer who really disagrees with you, would you want them to be doing your cake? I mean, do you want the cake to come out and maybe have salt in it instead of sugar, or would you want the wedding photographer to maybe not do a really good job because he just really doesn't approve? It's just stupid to try and force people to cater to your whims when you've got your own opinions about what, who you want to associate with and stuff. And it's not like there's any shortage of gay cake decorators and gay photographers.
And let me go into one other area. Let me go into one other area quickly, if I could, before we have to terminate this and I have to do a spot break. But you know that we're diametrically opposed as to our beliefs. I don't believe in that lifestyle, but yet I respect you for calling. But on the other hand, I want to talk to you about the religious attitude. Also, as you well know, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance and the transgenders are trying to step into the churches and say that if they say anything about Romans 1:27, they'll file suit, etc. That's the Bible. It's my belief. It's my church, and I'll never ever weaken on that if the Bible says it, that's the way I'm going to live. What is your response?
Right. Well, I believe in freedom of speech, and I mean, I go to the Gay Pride Parade every year in Salt Lake, and there's always protesters there with, God hates fags, and I believe absolutely they have every right to come and express their opinion, and I personally don't take offense at it.
I see.
I guess it'd be another thing, I guess, if they were saying, gays should be executed or something like is happening in a lot of Muslim countries, I understand some people even have that opinion, but I don't see any Christian groups going out and actually killing people that they know are gays, so I'm not concerned about that. I believe people have a right to opinion, they have a right to discriminate, and I stand for liberty. That's really where I'm at. I stand for liberty in the Constitution.
I want to say that even though we're completely on other sides of the fence, I want to say how much I appreciate and respect your phone call this morning, and thank you very much for taking the time.
You bet.
Thank
Talk
you.
To you later. Bye.
Well, that was interesting, and there is a gentleman that his viewpoint absolutely is a viewpoint that both sides could basically say they agree to disagree, but with respect, and not have something forced upon someone else. Calls are welcome and appreciated. My goodness, while I'm waiting for your calls, I've got to get a weather forecast in here real quick. And the weather is brought to you by Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. Number to call, 324-2004. Minor emergencies, major care. They will see you today and take care of your aches and pains and your strains and your cuts and abrasions. All you have to do is call Urgent Care of Jerome, 324-2004. Right now, here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers with Zeb at the Ranch. Welcome to the month of March. Welcome to a brand spanking new week of you, me, and sunny weather all the way till Friday. How about that? Temperatures get warmer by the time you get to Friday in the mid-50s. But for today, you're going to look for a high today at 48. Overnight low at 27. You'll see a few clouds in the skies, but storms are done. All the weather action is heading pretty much east of you, so you've got a nice week of nice weather as we walk our way out of winter and working our way towards spring. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, Michael. Treating everyday injuries and illnesses like ear infections, sprains, strains, and fractures. They're there to help you with injuries due to accidents at Urgent Care of Jerome. 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. Number to call, 324-2004. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
That was my mistake. There's no caller. I hit the wrong button.
You mean you upset the cow for no reason?
I did. I poked the cow for no reason.
My goodness, we got milk all over the floor. Don't go poking the cow for no reason.
Poor Betsy. I just abused her.
Oh, my. Did you have a chance to do any follow-up on that story I was talking to you about?
No, actually, I've been in knee-deep in affidavits, so no.
Knee-deep in what?
Affidavits.
Whew, I'm glad you articulated.
Yes.
Okay.
Affidavit. You know what affidavit?
I do. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
I'm just
so
kidding.
I'm knee-deep in that. And honestly, I have to say, I really enjoyed that last caller.
You know what? Now, I said it, and I meant it, that even though we are completely opposed in lifestyles and completely opposed in the way that our families are, etc., you could respect the man for saying what he said, because even with a difference of opinion, the Constitution and our value system was still there.
Yeah, honestly, and he's about liberty. He is about freedom of speech.
And not forcing
about respect.
And not forcing a confirmation of everybody over to their side.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you know what? And so he gets it. And I have respect for that man. Number one, because he called in.
Yep.
And number two, because just of how he eloquently stated, you know what? We all have rights. And it's not right for my side to be forcing my opinion on you and vice versa. We just need to find a common ground where we can respect each other and go about our merry way.
But the common ground, as I stated, is not common anymore. It's either their way or the highway. Not talking about what the man said, but like the demanding I'm not getting my rights. I want special rights. Well, you know what? Special rights would put it over and above and equal an opportunity to be fair to everybody.
Well, you know what, and what he said was, and I thought it was, a very well put statement. Would you want a photographer, a baker, or somebody else to be hosting a party after you forced them and threatened them with a lawsuit? Do you honestly really want to have that person be a part of your special day?
And in the case of the baker in Colorado, and also the florists that have been involved in these stories, each and every one of them, according to the affidavits that I have here in my hands, had recommended another business that would possibly take care of them. So they were not shunned and just thrown out the door.
You know, so they were going to say, hey, you know what? Even though I can't do this for you. Here's names of some other bakers that would probably be more than willing, and
absolutely,
and so.
But it was a workable situation, Gina.
It was a workable situation,
yes.
And so thank you to the caller for calling.
I do. I thank him very much for that call.
For his statements, yeah.
Absolutely. Holy smokes! I got to tell everybody about Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center at 2303 Park Avenue in Burley. Did you know that they have that 5-star rating from the government, the highest rating awarded to skilled nursing facilities? They really really take care of you, providing medical nursing service for seniors with very serious illnesses or disabilities 24 hours a day by the best of staffs. That's right. They never, ever forget that you are their valued guest and the reason that they're in business. So please, they strive every day to be the skilled nursing facility of your choice in the community. So please give them a call, 677-3073. That number again, 677-3073, Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center, 2303 Park Avenue in Burley. Whew. Now, coming up next hour, we have Julia Seymour. I love that lady. She's the dancer, just does a wonderful job. I'm looking forward to having her on. And then at 10:30, it's the legislative update. So we've got a lot of things coming up on Zebeth Ranch. By the way, Gina, just to let you know that we're trying to keep up on trivia.
Okay.
What year, I shouldn't ask this, but what year were you born?
72.
72. Well, I was born back in when they still circled the wagons in 47, Okay. But did you know when the pop tab on soda pop and beer was invented? This might amaze you.
1968.
You're close. 1959.
Really?
I didn't know that. I thought it'd been around a lot longer.
No, actually, the invention of the can was actually relatively new to the 50s.
Evidently, 1959 when they pop a top again.
Yep,
Okay.
but before that it was, jars.
Yeah.
Jars and things like that. Mm-hmm.
All right, kiddo, I'll see you in 6.
You got it.
Oh, I'm going to talk about, if I get a chance tomorrow morning, that poaching case. That just makes me sick that somebody would do that. I mean, come on. That's why we've got rules and regulations for everybody, and then some people think they're above the law. Makes me mad. Hey, welcome back to Zebeth Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, they do a wonderful, wonderful job, and they're having their big spring tire sale right now. And also, some of our great advertisers, like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, locally owned and operated. Call them, 734-6969. Oh, by the way, let's see what's on the menu for a special today, shall we? At the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, my goodness. I love this. I love this. Spring mix salad topped with crispy chicken, blackberries, and toasted almonds. Oh, yeah. Served with soup for just $8.95. You're going to love the menu choices and the specials, the people, the service, everything at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Also, really quick, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Burley Glass, 1029 Overland in Burley, absolutely working hard to provide great service to all the communities in Magic Valley. And if you need to update your windows to be energy efficient, why don't you call them right now, 678-1459. That number again for Leslie and Gentle Ben and the crew, 678-1459. And get some really, really good vinyl windows that can increase the energy efficiency of your home by at least 2 to 3 times. Absolutely. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley. Let's go to the phone lines right now, and a lovely lady that we haven't talked to for quite some time. Good morning, Julia Seymour. How are you?
I am doing well, Zeb. It's nice to talk with you again.
Oh, it's always good to have you on the program. Julia, the more I watch television, which I'm getting to the point where I don't trust anything on TV because it's always got an anti-value message for Americans. Now they're trying to kill capitalism off. I mean, tell us a little bit about the piece that you wrote. By the way, it was excellent. I want to compliment you.
Thank you. I looked at a broad swath of television dramas and comedies, as well as films, Hollywood films, and fake news shows like The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. And the overwhelming message coming from so many of these shows is that capitalism is bad, that in order to succeed in business, you have to be immoral. You may even be a murderer. If you were a business person, CEOs regularly get hauled off they're under arrest for whatever sort of, all sorts of crimes on television. And all of this is very concerning, especially given how much young people watch television.
Why are they trying to hit the system of capitalism that has made this country great, rich, and number one in the world for over 200 years?
Obviously, I can't read these people's minds and hearts, so I can't tell you exactly why. Certainly, given how much of it there is, I think that some people may have a specific agenda, that they are anti-capitalist, and therefore that's what they're writing. In some cases, writers may just be taking an easy way out, saying, just going with the common villain of the business guy is the bad guy. This is not a new phenomena for Hollywood. We've certainly seen this for many years. What concerns me is that there aren't really many opposing messages or pro-capitalism messages in the movies and on TV anymore.
Julia, what do they want? I mean, when you did a study on this, what do they want? Do they want a Chavez-type introduction to Venezuela? What do they want?
Other than your money, I'm not sure. I mean, Hollywood, and this is what makes this so hypocritical, is Hollywood is a huge industry. Entertainment media is something that requires people, in order for them to make money on their product, we have to consume it. And so obviously they want to make money, but they seem to have a very narrow view of who is good when they're making money, and have a whole lot of ideas, at least in fiction, of who the bad guys are.
Do they not realize, when you do a study, whether it's Warner Brothers or whether it's anyone, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer or any of these people, do they not realize, including the so-called stars, which have the combined IQ of a bicycle spoke, do they not realize that it's capitalism that gave them what they have?
I'm not sure that they do, and I don't know that they recognize that they're biting the hand that feeds them. That if the messages that they're sending are actually internalized and people start to accept them, that their time is numbered too. It's only a matter of time before their industry suffers from the same messages they're putting out.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely taken away by this piece, and it was very well written, too, but you take Hollywood, and by the way, I should say that I've been in 6 movies, and so I know the intricacies of being involved with Hollywood movies, and let's just take a so-called star, let's say Sean Penn, a nobody with the personality of a doorknob, and yet if it wasn't for a director telling him where to stand, where to walk, what to say, etc., he'd be nothing. He has the personality of a grapefruit. And where do these people get off trying to destroy a system that's been very beneficial for all these hundreds of years?
Well, I certainly think that this is wrong-headed, and that we need more variety in our entertainment as far as who fictional villains are, and I'd love to see some better messages. And certainly this is something Hollywood has done in the past. The Pursuit of Happiness, for example, with Will Smith a few years back, was about a man in very difficult circumstances working to better himself and succeeding. And that's a beautiful picture of the American dream, and something that really should inspire people. We need a whole lot more entertainment like that than we do corporate, scumbags being arrested for this and that crime, and everyone who's trying to make money being portrayed as a liar, a cheater, and worse, and even worse things than that.
I do not watch. You're going to think I'm just a big old prude, but I do not watch the shows How to Get Away with Murder or Scandal or The Blacklist.
Yeah.
To me, they are absolutely. I just don't need that kind of garbage in my mind.
Right. I mean, I wasn't watching any of these shows on my own. I don't actually watch a lot of television, aside from what I watch for work. But I did watch many of these, several episodes of each for the purposes of writing this report.
Right.
And in many cases, the content is not only objectionable from an anti-capitalistic perspective, but it's very vulgar or crude or just very over the top with its sexual content, and I am not interested in any of that. But certainly, all of these shows have very clear themes of anti-capitalism, and they're all doing very well with the key 18 to 49 demographic.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very popular. The Hollywood Reporter talked about how they had done very well last year, especially How to Get Away with Murder. They called that the #1 news show of the last season.
What about, you talk about in the article fake news shows like Jon Stewart's Daily Show. But yet, when you use the word fake news shows, there are a lot of people in this country, unfortunately, that have the combined IQ of a box of rocks that believe what he says is really legit.
Well, this is why fake news is actually having such a huge impact on people's views. Pew Research actually found that 18 to 29-year-olds were about 40% of the audience of the Colbert Report and the Daily Show, and this is happening. They're huge consumers of shows like that, while at the same time they're abandoning television news. So actual news shows are not where they're consuming news information. They're getting it from shows, in many cases, like the Daily Show. And the problem is that both of those shows are spinning the news of the day. They're very selectively deciding what they're covering, and they're spinning it for the purposes of comedy. And so if that's the only information people are getting, they're going to walk away with a very warped view of current events.
Yeah. Now, my question would be, and I don't mean to get off on a tangent with the news, because I want to talk basically about the movies and films and TV shows, but when you look at the news, per se, like with Brian Williams and now this mess that seems to be grappling with Bill O'Reilly, that's not helping the news media at all, is it, for being perceived as honest?
Right. Oh, absolutely. We've seen, the Brian Williams thing is a perfect example of news people. Their personalities becoming so large, and it's a brand of its own. And in this case, it tarnished all of NBC because he had lied.
Yeah.
Those things, unfortunately. It's good that they come out because people deserve to know the truth, and there should be consequences for telling lies like that, especially on the national stage when you're supposed to be delivering news. And it does hit the reputation of news organizations very hard, and deservedly so. But I think it's also important that people realize that fake news shows are even worse because they're not even trying to deliver the news. They're not claiming they're delivering the news. They are delivering select stories from a very clear perspective, and that is a left-wing perspective.
Let me ask you this last question regarding the news. What about the Bill O'Reilly deal? I've always said, and you've probably heard me say it, that I think Bill O'Reilly is his own best fan club. Bill O'Reilly does a lot of bloviating. Bill O'Reilly does a lot to diminish everybody else's opinion in favor of his own. Is this kind of the media slapping Bill O'Reilly in the face and saying, gotcha? What do you think the truths are in that story?
I honestly don't know. I don't know if Bill O'Reilly said things that were not accurate, or if he is being tarred by the left, as so many as so many who work for Fox News and on the right are attacked simply because they're on the right. But I can tell you, we actually have a brand new piece on our website, mrc.org, for those who are interested, looking at who is pushing this attack on him and how they're getting funding from George Soros.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's important to know where these stories are coming from, and as of right now, I don't know what the truth is, and I'm not going to pretend that I do.
Julia, one of the things that has bothered me for a long, long time in the media, and I'll go right smack dab to the children's programming on Saturday morning or in the afternoon after school, This is garbage. I mean, absolutely. I'm glad that my kids are grown up, because the garbage that they're putting in front of these kids in the form of either cartoons or children programming is absolutely jaded and all one way.
Yeah, I don't have children, so I don't watch most children's programming these days, but I certainly know that even when I was a child, some of the programming had a very particular slant to it. Stuff on PBS was slanted, and I've seen it and heard that over time that's gotten a lot worse. So while I don't personally know the examples of what you're talking about, I am not surprised by that at all. And that programming has declined in quality.
Wasn't there something, you wrote about it briefly in your piece regarding the hit children's movie Frozen? What did they do to portray negativity in that movie?
Yeah, so I actually watched the movie Frozen for this report, and it does have some very good lessons in it. But one bad lesson it had involved an anti-capitalist message in a secondary character. They had a character who was a merchant, a trader, and he, the Duke of Weselton was his name, although they repeatedly mispronounced it as Weaselton.
Mm-hmm.
And it is clear throughout the movie that he is set on exploiting people, and that he wants to trade with the realm that Queen Elsa lives in. He wants to take advantage of them, that he's there to try to take advantage of them. And eventually at the end he's banished. But, it's sad to me that even in a children's movie that has a lot of other things going on, that they felt they needed to do that. That's just disturbing.
So when you were doing the study for this piece, is it safe to kind of give a synopsis of saying that there is a major movement in Hollywood and also television with all the networks to literally condemn anybody that tries to make a good living and tries to be a capitalist and tries to have a future for his business and his family?
I would say that these themes are so widespread that it can't be some of this must be driven by personal views. I find it too widespread to think that people aren't doing this on purpose. Now, they may not be doing it, I don't know what those reasons are, but you don't get this much anti-capitalism and anti-business plot lines.
What can be done?
Reason, and I wish I knew better what that reasoning is.
What, in your opinion, final thought here, final question, but after studying these TV shows, whether it's The Blacklist or the movie Frozen, etc., what in the world can the consumer do? What can we do as business owners? What can we do to change the transition of thought back to what it should be for this great country, America?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? Actually, I think that in our real lives, people would be better served thinking about business in terms of their actual life. Looking to the businesses they deal with on a daily basis or a weekly basis, and the people they know who run businesses, and recognizing that those people are not, trying to destroy them. They're not guilty of murder.
Right.
In those cases, they're not the big time criminals that they're portrayed like they are on TV. And so people need to inject a dose of reality rather than accept these messages from Hollywood.
Absolutely.
But also, you and I and everybody else, we have the right to change the channel. We have the right to not go pay for that movie at the theater if we disagree with the messages it's sending.
Absolutely.
And parents, pay attention to what your kids are watching, know what messages they're getting, because they may be too young to sort this out for themselves.
Absolutely. Julia Seymour, God bless you, and thanks for coming on the program. Interesting article about capitalism or the death of, and we appreciate it very much, and I'll be in touch and have you back in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Julia Seymour, a lovely lady, and a piece that she had written, and it was called Hollywood Capitalists Profit by Bashing Capitalism. Doesn't make any sense. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Got to pay some bills. Want to remind you that every Thursday on this program, and about 10:12 in the morning, we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, and we're very, very blessed to have two wonderful sponsors for that segment, and they are A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley and Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. At A Child's World, don't forget, they are right in the middle of their 12-day birthday party sale going on as they celebrate 12 years in business. Hooray! Happy birthday at A Child's World. Happy anniversary, birthday party, all combined. And don't forget 20% off items like all the family games and toys and books. And don't forget, they've also got Cherokee and Dickey scrubs, too, at A Child's World. And the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue. Number to remember, 677-8888. That number again, 677-8888. And ask them questions about performing hand surgeries, arthroscopic surgeries, colonoscopies, all that, and save you money right there at the Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland in Burley. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Tony.
I guess the Obama rat pack is out of town, being that Netanyahu was here. I listened to his speech this morning, and that poor guy is walking on thin ice when it comes to the security of Israel. He's got to treat Obama like a 2-year-old kid, otherwise he won't get his way.
Let me ask you something. I didn't have a chance being on the air to listen to the speech, but I'm just going to make a supposition and tell me if I'm wrong. I would imagine that a large part of the speech was about Israel's major fear against Iran getting a nuclear weapon and the deal, so to speak, that U.S. and Iran are working on.
Oh, you're right. That's what it was all about. And Netanyahu has to treat Obama with kid gloves. Otherwise, Israel could be damaged heavily if we don't give him the support that he needs.
Absolutely. What was the bottom line at the end of the speech, Tony, with Netanyahu before Congress? I mean, what basically was the ending note on that speech?
Well, the ending note was that the United States and Israel were, meant to be together, and they're the ones that are going to provide freedom for that area over there. And like I say, he had to watch what he says about Obama.
Yeah.
And he knows that the fate of Israel, if we stop sending material over there, weapons and everything, and he brought up the fact about last year when they were under attack from Hamas, and if they didn't have all these weapons, basically what kind of a condition they would have been in.
It must be very disgusting and very troubling for the Israeli government to know that here Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, is over here in the United States speaking to supposedly their number one ally, and half of the listeners that should have been there, the Democrats, Obama, and of course Biden and Holder, etc., were out of town.
Oh, yeah. The Jews have been pushed all over Europe. No matter where they went, their lives were in danger, and they got this little piece of land over there, and they're being surrounded by terrorists that want them annihilated. So this guy is caught between a rock and a hard place.
Well, listen, I really do appreciate your calling this morning, Tony. God bless you, man. It's good to hear from you, and you and Mary have a good day, okay?
Okay, thank you, Zeb.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir. I want to remind everybody about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Now, I started up my rehab again, my exercises over there at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, and especially in the hydro pool. Ooh, the hydrotherapy pool with the treadmill in the bottom. Oh. Let me just say this, that you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to feel a lot better because Nick Greenwell and the rest of the staff, they know all the mix of exercises. They know all the sports medicine. Like I said, they've got the hydrotherapy pool. And they're going to help you get back to feeling like you. All you have to do is call them for an appointment. 678-1191. 678-1191. Excellent people at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Where are they located? Easy to find. 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2, right behind Dr. Crane's office, across the street from the Family Health Services in Burley. That number again, 678-1191. You give them a call today. We're going to send this back over to our main studios, and we're going to be back in about 3 minutes. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. And before we have our guest on the phone, I want to remind you about Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next door to Dot Foods. Wonderful people. I'm telling you right now that they have vast experience. And I like professionals that tell you what they can do, and then they do it and get the job done right. That's Streamline Precision. Call Tim at 431-7314. That number again, 431-7314. They have vast experience in industrial development that includes building dairies and feedlots and food processing and other multiple agricultural applications. They're a construction company specializing in large-scale industrial projects. They are experts in constructing agriculture buildings, grain silos, and commercial steel buildings. Call Tim. Get a bid today. They are the best at what they do, and that's Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, 431-7314. You call Tim right now. On the air with us, and a dear friend of mine, and had a chance to visit with him just a little bit on Saturday at the Lincoln Day Luncheon for Minnecasia, and that's, of course, Senator Dean Cameron. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Good morning, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm good. Dean, I got to ask you right up front, you've always been a straight shooter on this program and never avoided any questions, and I respect and appreciate that, so I'm just going to lay this out on the table. The Democrats in the state of Idaho, I think, are using this as a tool to try to create a lot of animosity against the governor and the Republican Party. And I'm talking about two issues. One, the internet problem that is stirred up in the State House, and also the prison situation. If you were governor for a day, right now today, how would you try to solve these issues so that they could be put to rest once and for all?
Well, first, I'm not governor, and I don't plan on being governor, so I don't know that I can look at it from that perspective. Certainly, the Democrats, smell blood in the water, and so they're certainly coming after it from that perspective. But in truth, mistakes have been made. I don't know that they fall right to the governor, but they certainly fall to some of the other folks that were in charge. The courts have ruled on the IEN that the contract was let inappropriately. And, of course, this is something that took place, and we watched very closely, because when the contract was first issued, Syringa and ENA were the lowest bidder and the highest score. I'm sure you realize, and your listeners realize, anytime there's an RFP that's put out, they both judge the RFP based on merit, and then they open the bid based on price. And so based on merit, Syringa and ENA had the best bid, and then they opened the price, and they had the best price. And they made the announcement that it was going to those two companies. It was shortly after that then the then director of the Department of Administration decided to make a change in the contract and awarded the large part of the contract to CenturyLink. They said that they would allow Syringa to be a subcontractor. And, of course, Syringa felt wronged, and so they sued, and now the courts have agreed that was done inappropriately, and so they have thrown out the contract. The contract is considered to be void. We've had issues with the Department of Administration on this contract before this year.
Mm-hmm.
You may recall last year they came, and they did not tell us that there was a Justice Department investigation going on, and that the E-rate funds for which this contract was let and viable, those E-rate funds were being withheld by the federal government. And so, you know, we've had some issues with the department. Our main concern this year, however, was how do we protect kids that are, you know, for example, taking a class in Murtaugh, Idaho with a teacher at CSI or a teacher at Burley High School or wherever. How do we protect kids in that regard?
Right.
And so what we've done is we've set aside money, actually less money than what the Department of Administration had asked for. We set aside money to be distributed to each of the local school districts who were part of the IEN to make sure that kids were protected and that they had the resources to transition. And that's taken place. That's happened. What I feel bad about, Zeb, and all of us have a little bit of egg on our face, frankly. You know, the technology is moving so quickly and changing so rapidly. We did not set in place appropriate provisions to protect the state when this bill passed 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I take responsibility for that, as well as any other legislator that was in place at that time. We should have fought to make sure that the state and our kids were better protected then. But we really didn't see how this could develop in the way it did. When it comes to the prison system, we did have the foresight to demand that we own the facility, and for the very reason that occurred, that if for some reason we had a bad actor who was doing things inappropriately, then they could be removed and we could put a new contractor in place. Or in the case of what actually happened is we removed CCA, and because we owned the facility, then the state took over managing that facility.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that case, our foresight and wisdom actually prevailed because we had planned ahead and protected ourselves. So the really, although they certainly point to two contracts that were maybe problem issues, they're really two separate issues, and we did a better job with the prison contract than we did with the IEN.
All right, see, that's exactly what I wanted people to hear, is that you're a straight shooter and give us straight answers to what's going on up there right now at this legislative session, which leads me to talk about funding. I know it's not a piece of cake up there this year because you're trying to squeeze every dollar that you can into various budgets. What about JFAC and funding?
Well, we're in the middle of setting budgets. We set the Medicaid budget this morning, which is the largest budget that we set when you include the federal funds. And some people don't realize it, but we actually set the budget with both general taxpayer dollars, but also any dedicated funds that an agency might receive, as well as the federal funds. So even though the federal government's given them the money, we don't allow them to spend it unless they have permission from us. And so we're making progress. But obviously, the governor's budget was fairly aggressive. We are projecting a growth of 5.5%, and that's what the governor had projected. So we're operating under that budget scenario. It certainly does not have room to fit everybody's wishes and needs and desires. And so we have to track pieces of legislation and the impact that they have on the state budget and try and fit them in and make the budget work. Public schools is, of course, the largest budget from the general fund side, and it will be set on the 12th, so in about 12 days from now, and actually we finish setting budgets on the 13th of March. So it is held right towards the very end.
You know, Dean, one of the things that I picked up on during your short speech on Saturday was about Idaho and the balanced budget and our Constitution. And then I pick up Sunday's paper, and I was reading an article on the op-ed piece by Linda Brugger, the new chairwoman of the Twin Falls County Democratic Party, and the last part of her story in this op-ed piece really offended me, and I want you to give me your response to it. It is as follows. It's time for politicians to listen to everyday voters at their doorsteps, and way past time to pull Idaho away from its mismanagement and reputation as Mississippi of the North. I found that to be highly offensive. What are your thoughts? I've always thought the legislature was doing their very best to stay within budgetary means.
Well, we absolutely have. I mean, we have a constitutional mandate to balance our budget, and we take that very seriously. And that means if we don't have the revenue, we don't spend the money. That's just as easy as it is. It's just like you would have to do in your home, or any of your listeners would have to do. Now, there's certainly some that want to argue that we should spend more money and that we should raise taxes, and we don't feel that's what we should do. We don't feel that's our responsibility. There has to be some significant reason that would require us to raise taxes, and that hasn't been there. I suspect, I didn't read her article, and I suspect when she refers to Mississippi, she's talking about education. Mm-hmm. And we do have some serious issues with education. We are trying to address them the best we can. We are, every dollar that we can pick up and save from another budget, we're trying to push towards education, and we're certainly trying to keep spending down. And we have significant issues there, but again, we can't spend money we don't have.
Mm-hmm. Now, we have a caller with a question, and I'm going to get them on quickly. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Well, I understand that you had more income this last year than you did the year before, but you're still wanting to raise taxes. I was wondering if you could just use that additional that you got to spend on your expenses instead of raising taxes. All
right, I'll have him answer that on the air. Go ahead, Dean, please.
So I appreciate the question. We aren't wanting to raise taxes in general, period, and we aren't wanting to raise taxes for the general fund or for the budget. There is a discussion about the transportation department and the transportation infrastructure, the bridges and roads that need to be repaired. And the department and studies have shown that we are about $260 million behind in infrastructure repairs, and that if there were dollars, they could move faster on those items. I don't know whether anything's going to happen with that or not. That's a really good question. Zeb, you recall on Saturday, Speaker Bedke fielded those questions because, frankly, all of the tax issues, whether they are reductions or raises, would have to come from the House. And so the Senate sits by quietly, or maybe not so quietly at times, and waits for House proposals. There is a push to do something for transportation, but that money is dedicated to transportation only, dedicated towards roads, and most people feel that if there is an issue that you have to address with our roads and bridges, it should be paid based on those that use it. So a user fee, and that user fee most likely looks like gas tax on diesel or other fuel, maybe some in registration fees, maybe some in a ton-mile tax, or where you're charging those trucks. Those are ideas that have been proposed. I have no idea whether they will even meet muster enough to make it to the House floor, let alone make it over to the Senate.
Yeah, but let me just throw something in here in the form of a question. And they kind of terminated the questions before I could get my hand up Saturday and ask this. You know, we've heard the federal government, the Obama administration, wants to possibly start at $1 increase in a federal gasoline tax. And you know as well as I do, Dean, that if you give the feds $1 a gallon, you have no clue where that money's going to be allocated. It might end up going to hamsters on a treadmill, whereas the state needs money for the bridges and the roads, etc., and the consumer, like myself, is looking at a double-edged sword, are they not?
Certainly. And there, you bring up a very valid point, and one that's been discussed a number of times, and I'm sure will be brought up again. We have no idea what the feds are going to do, what the federal government's going to do. Although we do have a Republican-controlled Congress, which might, one might read into it that it would not be that egregious. I think the proposals that they've talked about here are much more, much more smaller. They're talking like 10 cents per gallon on gas prices. But again, I'm telling you what I hear. So I'm giving you the rumors. I don't even know if that meets muster and comes over here. We are. I would point out to you and the listeners, we benefit from the amount of money coming from the federal government when it comes to roads. We donate less money than what we get back. So in other words, the taxpayers on the federal tax goes back to the federal government, and we get more money back than what our state actually contributes. There is some concern that the federal government will also change that formula. And that would also make it, even though they would have raised taxes on our citizens, that it would have meant we'd get less money back from the federal government, and we're equally concerned about that approach.
What, in the time remaining here this morning, Dean, what other issues are basically just not settled up there at the legislative session for this year and are a worry to you as a senator and others? I mean, what other issues are you trying to work on and get money for that you just don't know where it's going to come from?
Well, the issues you've covered this morning, you're very good about having the pulse of what's going on. The issues that you've covered are really the top three issues up here. Okay. Education funding, being able to attract and keep teachers. There's a proposal that's coming out today with a new career ladder for teachers, and of course that has a pretty big price tag to it. Transportation funding is probably the second one, and the Idaho Education Network is certainly in the top five, if not the third one. The rest are fairly mundane pieces of legislation. There are some controversial pieces here and there, but most of them are getting taken care of in the committee.
Okay.
So off the top of my head, I don't see of anything of significant. We have a number of water bills that I know the water users in our area watch very closely. We have a chunk of money that the governor allocates towards sage grouse protection. We're trying to keep sage grouse from being listed so that it doesn't lock up our lands any more than they already are. Those are issues that are around, but we are finding the money for it and working very carefully to balance the budget appropriately.
I just want to say, Dean, that like I said in the beginning, you have been very open and forthright on this program for many, many years, along with Representative Fred Wood and Speaker Scott Bedke. I thank you, Senator Dean Cameron, and I just wish more people, and I mean this when I say this, I just wish more people would have taken the time and the effort to just go to the Lincoln Day Luncheon and meet you, talk to you, find out the issues, find out your stand, and I think they'd come away, if they were doubting Thomases, that we have excellent representation at the legislative session, and I thank you for that.
Leb, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we want your listeners to know if they have questions or issues, please email us or call us. We'll give them the same straight answer that we do on your program, obviously, and it may not be what everybody wants to hear, but we'll try and give you all the information so that you can advise us as to how you would want us to vote. Also, I think you get it. We have a newsletter that the three of us put out.
Yep.
That highlights some of the items of the week. We try and send those out every Monday, showing what happened the previous week. And if individuals would like to get on that newsletter, receive that email newsletter, send me an email, send me your email address, and I'll make sure you're included.
All right, we've got one time, just enough time for one quick call. Go ahead, caller, please, quickly.
Yeah, Dean, I can tell you what the feds are going to do. Nothing. Thanks.
Well, that would be a blessing, actually. we hope that someday they'll get their act together and balance the budget like we do. Certainly when we have our congressional delegations, Senator Crapo and Senator Risch were here the other day, and when you hear them talk about the issues, the financial situation of our country, we've got to get our country under control and make them balance the budget.
Amen. Senator Dean Cameron, thank you so much. I know you had to step out of a meeting to get on the air this morning. I very much appreciate it. God's blessings, and we'll be talking to either you or Fred or Scott next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Senator Dean Cameron on the phone with us this morning, and I appreciate that. And oh, my goodness, look at the time. Right now, I've got a gallop to get our weather in, and the weather is brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, selling taste one bite at a time. Have you heard about this tax return meat package? I'm not kidding. It includes beef and pork and chicken and cheese. Oh, my goodness. I mean, like in the beef, you get 15 pounds of ground round along with rump roast and New York steak, and you get pork chops and bacon and whole chickens and marinated chicken breasts and wonderful, delicious cheddar and smoked provolone cheese. Oh, you better check it out. It's only $300. Only $300 for a tax return meat package at Scarro's Meats. Delicious. 324-7657. They are selling taste one bite at a time. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers with Zeb at the Ranch. Welcome to the month of March. Welcome to a brand spanking new week of you, me, and sunny weather all the way till Friday. How about that? Temperatures get warmer by the time you get to Friday in the mid-50s. But for today, you're going to look for a high today of 48. Overnight low at 27. You'll see a few clouds in the skies, but storms are done. All the weather action is heading pretty much east of you, so you've got a nice week of nice weather as we walk our way out of winter and working our way towards spring. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go, Michael Rogers weather, and brought to you this hour by Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at Scarro's Meats. With that great tax return meat package. You got to check it out. Call them right now today and say, I heard Zeb talking about this. Well, they'll give you all the information. 324-7657. Scarro's Meats, selling taste one bite at a time. Oh, my goodness, I got time for one or two quick calls. Gina, did you hear about the NASCAR car that wasn't?
Nope, I didn't.
This was really, I don't mean to laugh because it was a crime, and I've got to do another commercial, but I want you to respond to this. I cannot remember the driver's name nor the sponsor and everything, but they were all ready for the big race, NASCAR race at Atlanta this weekend.
Okay.
And they were getting ready for the lap testing and the time trials, but they had one small problem. Somebody stole their car.
You're kidding.
No, somebody stole their $265,000 race car, plus, in addition to that, the spare engine for $125,000.
Oh, my goodness, that's a lot of money.
And the driver, and I can't remember the guy's name right off the top of my head, but they opened up the door, and the car's gone. And they had to withdraw from the race because they didn't have a car, and they didn't have an extra engine. Well, long story short, somebody spotted the trailer with the car in it at a gas station, and they finally got the car back, but it was too late for this team to race at the Atlanta Speedway this past weekend.
Oh, my goodness. So they recovered the car. Obviously, hopefully the person that apprehended the car is in jail.
I tell you what, I don't know all the particulars on this. I just caught a little bit of it on the news, but how would you like to open the door as you're getting your mechanics and everything ready to go and get things ready for a time trial, but there's a little bitty problem? No car.
Yeah, that would kind of put a halt to everything.
You know, that would just dampen your day. I mean, that's like somebody spitting on the candles of your birthday cake.
That's more than just dampening the day. That's like putting the complete downpour on the weekend.
You know, I've heard of this happening with horses. Really, I mean, I've heard of horses being stolen out of their stalls or something, race horses, but this is the first time I've ever heard of a great big old stock car being stolen with the trailer and the extra engine and everything. It's gone. And they finally got it back.
Oh, well, thank goodness for that, because that's a chunk of change. I mean, having a race car and, and everything else, that is expensive.
Well, I mean, not only that, but look at, they'd paid, I think, everything as far as their fees and everything, and they had to withdraw. Why do you have to withdraw, sir? Well, we lost our car. I mean, what do you do? Golly.
Oh, and I'm sure that they were rather embarrassed to report that.
To say the least. And I was thinking, good heavens, they should have called Garage Lady Gina, and she could have been there day and night making sure that everything was shipshape.
Well, at least I could have kept an eye on things, which, by the way, speaking of automotive stuff, finally got the Bonneville fixed. She's all done. Worked on my little brother's car this weekend, and we even got the motorhome fixed up, and we took it for a cruise this weekend.
My goodness sakes, there you go, with a little bit of a grease stain smudge on your nose. I can see it from here.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Hey, big spring tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Convenient credit for tires and services, very quick credit, revolving credit plans, 90 days, same as cash. Check it out at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And like I said, it's a spring tire sale. My goodness, they've got the Ultra Z900. Great passenger car tire, all-season design, 60 to 80,000 mile warranty. Ooh, it's on sale. You better get in there. And for the pick-em-up trucks and the SUVs, the Open Country AT2, outstanding traction, long-lasting tread, on sale. Where? At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Until tomorrow at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch saying have a great day. God bless you and your family. The way things were are the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning right here. Don't go away.